This is TechCrunch. Enhanced geothermal has had a promising few years, nudged forward by data centers' insatiable demand for electricity. Fervo Energy has landed deals on those tailwinds, suggesting, but not guaranteeing, that the company was through the valley of death. Now, that term describes when a startup has proven its tech, but has not raised enough money to show it can work profitably at scale. Many startups fail to ever move past that point and end up dying off. Exactly when a startup emerges from the valley of death is debatable. One measure is whether it can raise project finance debt that isn't tethered to the startup itself. Fervo has raised debt before, but today it announced a $421 million loan that is considered non-recourse, which means that liability for the loan is tied to the specific project. Default would sink the project, not necessarily the company. Not that the project is in any danger. The financing is for Fervo's Cape Station power plant in Utah, which will begin operation this year before scaling to 100 megawatts in early 2027, and eventually 500 megawatts when fully built. All of the power has been bought at this point. Fervo pointed out that non-recourse financing does not typically apply to first-of-a-kind facilities, which Cape Station is, sort of. While the site isn't fully developed, Fervo has data on over a dozen wells that it has drilled there. That undoubtedly helped the company seal the deal. Well, an ambitious satellite builder will launch one of the highest-powered spacecraft ever built in the weeks ahead to demonstrate technology that will be required to build data centers in orbit. K2 Space, founded by brothers and former SpaceX engineers Karen and Neil Kunjar in 2022, has packed its satellite Gravitas into a SpaceX Falcon 9 rocket, expected to launch as soon as the end of this month. Gravitas has a mass of 2 metric tons, with a 40-meter wingspan when its solar panels are unfolded. Now, the point of the big satellite is big power. Gravitas is capable of producing 20 kilowatts of electricity for use by payloads like powerful sensors, transceivers, and computers. For comparison, the even larger and more expensive Viasat-3 spacecraft can generate more than 25 kilowatts of power, while Elon Musk has said Starlink V3 satellites will generate 20 kilowatts. But most spacecraft generate just a handful of kilowatts. According to the company, they've raised $450 million to make that vision a reality, and it was valued at $3 billion by its investors last December. This launch will be the company's first step into real space operations and what the company calls the start of our iterative journey. The Gravitas mission will fly 12 undisclosed payload modules from several customers, including the Department of Defense, as well as a 20-kilowatt electric thruster that the company expects will be the most powerful ever flown in space. Company execs said the demonstration will be evaluated across several tiers of success. First, can K2 get the spacecraft deployed and generating power? Second, can it start running its payloads and test its powerful thruster? And if that goes well, can it use the thruster to raise the spacecraft thousands of kilometers into a higher orbit? The company says it is aware that launching a new spacecraft is not easy. 85% of its components have been designed and built in-house, and that markets are quick to judge anomalies. What's most important, though, will be maximizing data collection to feed into the next design of the satellite. K2 plans to launch 11 satellites in the next 2 years in a mix of demonstration and commercial missions. By 2028, the company expects to be producing satellites for customers to build out commercial networks of high-powered space vehicles. As satellites continue to play a larger role in the economy, power helps close new business cases. The company expects the first impact to be on communications networks. More power means more throughput and a signal that is less susceptible to jamming. As data processing on orbit becomes more important, high-powered satellites will be needed to operate advanced processors. Still, The big challenge for data centers and big satellites of all kinds is the expense of launching them into space. K2's founding pitch was leveraging the power of Starship, the enormous rocket currently being developed by SpaceX, which may be able to deliver large reductions in the cost of getting to orbit. However, it is not yet clear when the vehicle will be operational or start delivering low cost service. But the growing demand for more power on orbit gives K2 a different framing for its unique spacecraft. Massive communications networks like Starlink and Amazon Leo, hyperscalers mulling the potential of orbital compute, and the Pentagon's plans for a $185 billion missile defense system with thousands of new satellites all point toward satellites with more electrical clout. K2 argues that its spacecraft still makes sense in a world where they might cost roughly $7.2 million to launch. The CEO argues that Gravitas' $15 million price point still makes it cheaper than high-powered satellites built by traditional contractors, while more powerful than equivalently priced smaller spacecraft. And once the biggest rockets start flying regularly, well, the company says they will be ready with even bigger options. That's all for now. For more stories like these, go to TechCrunch.com.